The crystalline halls of the Galactic Council chamber gleamed under artificial starlight as Ambassador Zixthara of the Valoran Empire stood before the assembled delegates. Her four eyes betrayed something the other species had rarely seen in a being of her stature: fear. "We made a grave mistake," she announced, her translator converting her chittering language into standard Galactic. "We need them back." The chamber erupted in whispers and clicks and hisses. It had been 23 standard years since humanity had been expelled from the Galactic Council. 23 years since the primitive warmongers had been deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable, too human for civilized galactic society. Jessica Martinez leaned back in her captain's chair aboard the Defiant, a human-made vessel that shouldn't have existed according to Council technology assessments. She watched the intercepted transmission with a slight smile playing at her lips. "They actually have the audacity," she muttered, running a hand through her dark hair. "Jack, are you seeing this?" In the engine room 3 decks below, Jack Morrison wiped grease from his hands and grinned at his own monitor. "Oh, I'm seeing it all right, Jess. Looks like the galaxy's falling apart without their favorite punching bag." He wasn't wrong. When the Council had cast humanity out, they'd expected humans to retreat to their little corner of the Orion Arm and fade into obscurity. Instead, humanity had done what it did best: adapted, innovated, and thrived out of pure spite. The transmission continued. Zixithara's voice grew more desperate. "The Kryn swarm has breached the outer territories. They've consumed 17 colony worlds in the past cycle. Our fleets cannot stop them." Jessica felt a cold satisfaction wash over her. The Kryn swarm, a hive mind species that consumed everything in its path. For decades, humanity had warned the Council about the growing threat from the dark sector. For decades, they'd been dismissed as paranoid primitives seeing monsters in every shadow. Captain, her communications officer, Lieutenant Chen, spoke up. "We're receiving a direct hail. It's from the Council flagship itself." "Put it through," Jessica said, straightening in her chair. The view screen flickered, and there she was, Supreme Chancellor Morvax, the same dignified Altarian who had cast the deciding vote to expel humanity all those years ago. She looked older now, her silver skin dulled with stress. "Captain Martinez," Morvax began, her voice lacking its former imperious tone. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I am authorized to extend an offer of reinstatement to humanity. Full membership with all rights and privileges restored." Jessica let the silence stretch. In the background, she could hear Jack climbing up the ladder from engineering, not wanting to miss this moment. "Your Excellency," Jessica finally replied, her voice carefully neutral. "Forgive me, but wasn't it you who called us violence-addicted savages unfit for civilized company? I believe that was the exact phrasing used during our expulsion hearing." Morvax's face tightened. "Captain, please. Billions of lives are at stake. The swarm advances daily. Our defensive lines crumble. You must understand." "Must?" Jack's voice cut in as he stepped onto the bridge. "That's an interesting word choice, Chancellor. We don't must do anything anymore. You made that clear when you threw us out." The Chancellor's desperation became palpable. "Name your terms, anything. Technology transfers, trade agreements, territorial concessions." Jessica held up a hand. "Stop, just stop." She stood, walking closer to the view screen. "Do you know what humanity has been doing for the past 23 years, Chancellor? We've been building. Not weapons, well, not just weapons. We've been creating a civilization that doesn't need the Council's approval to exist." She gestured to someone off-screen, and a tactical display appeared, showing the human-controlled territories. Where once there had been a handful of colonies, now there were hundreds, connected by a network of jump gates that made Council technology look antiquated. "We partnered with the species you called unworthy," Jessica continued. "The Xanti, who you said were too aggressive. The Pirellians, who you deemed too primitive. The Ithmari, who didn't fit your aesthetic standards. Together we've built something new. Something better." Jack moved to stand beside Jessica, his arms crossed. "And when the Kryn Swarm scouts probed our borders last year, you know what we did? We destroyed them. Completely. Sent the whole hive fleet running back to the dark sector with its tail between its legs." The Chancellor's eyes widened. You encountered them? And you won?" "Turns out," Jessica said with a cold smile, "those savage human tactics you despised so much, they work pretty well against an enemy that only understands consumption and destruction. We think like predators, Chancellor. We understand war in a way your civilized species never could. Morvax's composure finally cracked.
Please, I am begging you.
Our people are dying. The Kryn will reach the core worlds within months. If they take the Council homeworlds, then the galaxy will learn what humanity learned, Jack interrupted. That you can't rely on others to save you. That you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. That sometimes survival requires you to be a little savage. Jessica saw the devastation in Morvax's face and felt her anger soften slightly. These weren't the politicians who had expelled them. Most of those were dead or retired. These were their children, inheriting the consequences of their parents' prejudice. We'll help, Jessica said finally, and watched hope blossom in the Chancellor's expression. But not as members of your council. We'll help as allies, equal partners. And when this is over, there will be changes. Anything. Morvax breathed. The species you've marginalized, they get full representation. Your civilization standards that are really just cultural imperialism, gone. And humanity doesn't ask permission anymore. We don't beg for seats at tables. We build our own tables, Jack grinned beside her. And maybe, just maybe, you'll learn that being civilized doesn't mean being weak. And being strong doesn't make you a savage. The Chancellor nodded slowly. I will bring your terms to the Council. You do that, Jessica said. And Chancellor, tell your fleets to hold the line for 3 more days. The humans are coming. And we're bringing friends. As the transmission ended, Jack let out a long whistle. Think they'll actually agree? Jessica smiled, a real smile this time. They don't have a choice. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned that humanity's greatest strength isn't our ships or our weapons. It's our refusal to stay down when someone knocks us over. Jack finished. Exactly. Jessica turned to her crew. All hands battle stations. Plot a course for the outer territories. And somebody get me a comm line to the Xanti war fleet. It's time to show the Council what humanity and her real allies can do. As the Defiant jumped to FTL, Jessica allowed herself one last thought. The Council had cast humanity out thinking they were removing a problem. Instead, they'd freed humanity to become something far more dangerous, a force that didn't play by anyone else's rules. The galaxy was about to remember why you didn't corner a human. Because humanity didn't just fight back, humanity fought to win, and